It is Friday, July 1, 2016. Welcome to the Government News Brief. In the news, CARICOM Heads of Government Conference to be held in Guyana from Monday, the National Youth Policy laid in the National Assembly, over 1,000 Guyanese now employed under SIP, and GGMC to draft policy to protect the vulnerable in the mining industry. I am Azim Khan with the details of these and other stories. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us. Here are the details. CARICOM Heads of Government of the Caribbean Community will be meeting in Georgetown from July 4 to 6 for the 37th regular meeting. An opening ceremony will be held on Monday, July 4 at the National Cultural Center from 5 p.m., which will be addressed by CARICOM Chairman and Prime Minister of Dominica, Roosevelt Skerrit, who will also chair this 37th CARICOM Heads of Government meeting, along with CARICOM Secretary General, Ambassador Erwin LaRocque. The plenary sessions will take place at the Pegasus Hotel, Kingston, Georgetown, on Tuesday, July 5 and Wednesday, July 6. Heads of governments will deliberate on a wide range of issues, including regional security, the CARICOM single market and economy, correspondent banking and the de-risking threat to the region, strengthening CARICOM-Cuba relations, the border dispute between Guyana and Venezuela, and Belize and Guatemala, and the ongoing Haitian-Dominican Republic matter, which has left large numbers of Haitians of Dominican descent stateless. The Guyana Geology and Mines Commission (GGMC) has 5 days to draft a policy which will protect vulnerable persons in the extractive industry. Details from Tiffany Rodius.
The GGMC was mandated last week to review the regulations and come up with a draft policy which will prevent the trafficking in persons TIP in the mining sector, according to Junior Minister of Natural Resources, Simona Brooms.
I had called for a meeting with the management of Guyana Geology and Mines and to come up, based on the regulation, with a policy that will not only prevent but will allow for women in the extractive industry to work equally alongside the men without being vulnerable, so that they can be either abused, raped, or trafficked.
Broom says she would like the policy to also address the exploitation of other vulnerable persons in the extractive industry, even as the Ministry of Natural Resources and the Environment has been actively working to improve the sector and eliminate TIP.
We have started, and it was out there in the press, to educate and to have training in how we can prevent and how we can partner with the public security, social protection based on the act is all about providing social services to affected victims.
Yesterday, the U.S. State Department 2016 report on trafficking in persons removed Guyana from the Tier 2 watch list. A country is placed on the Tier 2 watch list when minimal effort is made to comply with Trafficking Victims Protection Acts, along with a high number of victims, failure to provide evidence to combat trafficking, along with the country's commitment to address these in the following year. Brooms, who has been a strong activist against trafficking in persons before becoming a minister, says the report's finding is a testament of the work of the government. Guyana's extractive industry has been negatively impacted by being placed on the U.S. State Department Trafficking in Persons Tier 2 watch list, notes Broom. For the Government News Brief, I'm Tiffany Rogers.
Youth leadership and empowerment are among the priorities to be developed as the National Youth Policy was presented to the National Assembly by Minister in the Education Ministry, Nicolette Henry. Here is that report.
The youth policy spells out the creation of leadership programs that will allow for training and development of leadership skill for Guyana's youths. Presidential Advisor on Youth Empowerment, Aubrey Norton, says that a program addressing youth leadership will soon commence.
We will train about 60 young people in youth leadership, where we will teach them basic leadership skills like what is leadership. We'll teach them communications, effective speaking, how to chair a meeting the role of the secretary, chairman, treasurer, meeting procedures, so that they understand the basics of the meeting. We have formed across the country more than 70 youth organizations, and we're seeking to empower them by ensuring that they have the skills that are required to run the organization.
Making youth economically independent is also another priority laid out in the document. It highlights governance mechanisms to reduce unemployment. One of those mechanisms includes the establishment of a multi-stakeholder youth committee, which will oversee poverty reduction for youth through employment and entrepreneurship at the community, regional, and national levels. Presidential Advisor on Youth Empowerment Aubrey Norton explains.
There are a lot of persons into pigs, etc., but there isn't the value added. So we're training them so that they can do value added and be able to create little businesses in their community. The president has been very clear to me. He wants whatever we do to focus on economically empowering young people. So a lot of our programs are aimed at that kind of empowerment.
The policy will address youth unemployment in a holistic way. Training in literacy and numeracy, counseling and guidance, and youth small business development, among other areas. Minister of Finance Winston Jordan, during his 2016 budget presentation, says that government's aim is to have youths who are qualified to fulfill career and vocational aspirations while enjoying their youth. With this government news brief, Glendon Greenwich.
The Ministry of Communities' project to improve the aesthetics and preserve and maintain community infrastructure within the neighborhood democratic councils and township resulted in over 1,000 Guyanese now having jobs. Details in this report.
The approximately 1,100 Guyanese who are currently employed under the Ministry of Communities Community Infrastructure Project (CIP) are operating in 9 regions, with Region 8 the exception. These workers are involved in cleaning up their surroundings and maintaining community drainage. Project Coordinator Karen Rupchand explains.
Their job essentially is to do enhancement activities in the villages. That is, they do cleaning and clearing of the environment, the shoulders, the road shoulders, the drains, the parapets, burial grounds, any community type of area they would maintain to enhance the look and, of course, to improve drainage and the environment as a whole.
The Ministry of Communities is targeting an additional 400 persons for employment by the end of 2016.
We want to help in creating jobs, and we have scope under this project to do just that. And I would like to encourage persons to visit their village councils and uplift application forms. We have positions available for enhancement workers in the various areas, and we would like to encourage persons to apply for those jobs.
The CIP project, which began in 2014 and was remodeled in 2015, is in keeping with the current government's commitment towards decentralization of resources to the local democratic organs. This remodeling has seen the day-to-day management of the workers transferred from the ministry to local democratic areas. For the Government News Brief, Sneaker Thorne reporting.
Sophia and the East Bank Demerara Road projects, which were stalled due to the unavailability of asphalt, have been resumed. Here is an update from Renetta LaFleur.
The Sophia and East Bank Demerara roads, the Ogle Road, and the railway embankment from Ogle to the University of Guyana, which were put on hold due to the shortages of asphalt, also known as bitumen, have since resumed. Coordinator, Work Services Group, Ministry of Public Infrastructure, Jeffrey Vaughan explains.
Of the last 2 weeks or so, there have been a shortage in terms of bitumen in the country, and that has really and truly affected a lot of the projects that are actually ongoing at this moment, because we're not having asphalt because there's a shortage of bitumen.
Chief Roads and Bridges Officer Ron Rahaman says that since the asphalt plant is now in receipt of bitumen, those projects will now resume.
The asphalt plant received bitumen on Friday, the 24th of June, and on the 25th, Saturday, June the 25th, the asphalt plant started to produce asphalt. Some of the roads that we receive in asphalt during this week and early next week will be the A to D link Sophia, Section E Sophia, which is also known as Plum Park, Church Road Bachelor's Adventure, Fish Street Monrepo, and Diamond Road Network D and C.
Other works scheduled to resume within the next 2 weeks are the 8D Link Sophia Road project, Section E Sophia, also known as Plum Park, Church Road Bachelor's Adventure, 5th Street Monrepos, and Diamond Road Network DNC. In the 2016 national budget, large sums were allocated for road projects in furtherance of government's plan of restoring infrastructure to improve traveling conditions and road safety for all Guyanese. Renetta LaFleur for the Government News Brief.
Ranks of the Guyana Fire Service will soon benefit from hands-on training when the Lenora Training School completes its firefighting simulators. Details in this report.
The firefighting simulators are expected to be operational by September, says Fire Chief Marlon Gentle.
And these simulators, when they are finished, we'll be able to put these officers through some very technical and very real scenarios involving live firefighting in terms of rescue, in terms of even some high-rise type firefighting disciplines.
The training simulators provides a safe training environment to learn ventilation techniques, recognition of dangerous situations, and wayfinding, and are intended to provide real-time firefighting and rescue experiences to ranks of the Guyana Fire Service. The multi-purpose simulators will also be used to prepare seamen to fight fires on board their vessels, Gentle says.
It also has provisions for for training persons in marine firefighting, as well as civilians in terms of fire safety and fire prevention, the Fire Marshals program.
The firefighting simulators were designed by a UK-based company at the cost of $37 million. The construction of the simulators is currently undergoing finishing touches. Once completed, the UK-based company that designed the simulators will return to assess and test it before it can become operational, the fire chief said. For the Government News Brief, I'm Tiffany Rogers.
That concludes today's edition of the Government News Brief. The details of these and other stories can be found on our website at www.gina.gov.gy. We have recently revamped our website to make it more user-friendly. Please help us by providing feedback on how we can make your browsing experience better. You can submit your feedback at info@gina.gov.gy or by liking and following us on Facebook. Stay updated. Subscribe to our website and YouTube channel. Do join us again on Monday as Gina brings you another edition of this, the Government News Brief. Thank you for watching.